Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Four, and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, everyone, what's going on?
So there was a new Star Wars trailer.
I want to talk to people about a very serious problem in the galaxy, and it's an infestation of porgs. I think that's what they're called.
Pogs.
They look cute. They look cuddly. They're basically vermin. Just, they're just going to get up in your engines and everything. You're going to have to get out there. Next thing you know, a Minox munching on your head. It's just not good. Just get rid of them all. Get rid of all porgs. I'm starting a campaign right now.
Is Porg the new Jar Jar?
I don't think so. I think it's the new little cute thing that they're going to sell, merchandising of. It's the new BB-8, baby, basically.
Baby Groot.
Yeah, Baby Groot served a purpose. This thing's useless.
I'm gonna tell you though, I was super amped. I was like, when I saw the trailer, I saw like old Luke Skywalker, robot hand. I was like, this is gonna be the sickest trailer I've ever seen. 6 minutes in, I'm like, I was not impressed at all. And like, I'm not a big Star Wars guy, but I was like, there's no way this trailer is not gonna get it's not. I was like, this is gonna be like, for example, the Justice League trailers. I am not a Justice League fan. I'm not a DC Comics fan. I'm not a Batman fan. I'm not a fucking Aquaman fan. You know what I'm saying? None of these things. But that trailer with Jason Momoa as Aquaman, just got me hype. You know what I mean? Like I was into it. I was like, yo, this is hype. So I just watched that trailer. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch the Star Wars trailer because I'm feeling the love right now. And I was like, yo, Mark Hamill was Buster. Like he did nothing about that trailer made me like think this was going to be awesome. The music was the only thing that got my blood going, but that's Star Wars easy button is the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The music is the single easiest thing to go to. Let me tell you, Mark looked like he had never acted before in his life. Maybe it was just bad clips of him, but I was not impressed.
Probably a reason he didn't make a strong acting career after Star Wars.
No, but he's a great voice actor. I liked the super AT-ATs with the crazy little metal leg armors. Yeah, because they had the little jagged edges. So like if you tried to tow cable them, it looked like the tow cables would snap, and they were protecting like baby AT-ATs in the middle, like they were like herd mentality. And it's funny. I was talking to Parker earlier. He's like, yeah, but what do they do about the Jedis with like the grappler ropes underneath and the grenades? I was like, well, quick tactical analysis. So the general's up on the bridge of his AT-AT, and he's like, Corporal, well, what's our only weakness? Oh, it's those Jedis with the sabers and the grenade thing. Now that we got these new AT-ATs, okay, quick check. Where are the guys with the light swords? Sir, they're all mostly on our side. Except for these two other people, they're like on this island thing, and this other guy, he used to be a stormtrooper. We're not sure. Okay, cool, we're good to go. And initiate attack patterns. So I feel like it's good. It's good to go.
I did get hyped for the golden stormtrooper, though. I will say.
I feel like Robbie B just figured out how to be the best bad guy general ever in Star Wars. That was it.
They're like, yo, where are the Jedis and whose side are they on? Okay, it's go or no go at this point.
So Star Wars aside, what do we got for Tabletop Marketplace, Rob?
Well, I would like to report that we have a large and robust Tabletop Market Watch. However, that might not be the case. This week is the culmination of the Death Guard releases, but we still have the one errant little crawler thing that nobody seems to know when it's coming out or anything like that. So I don't know. But on the Warhammer side, the Shadespire core game is coming out. Releases on the 14th.
Oh, really?
Excuse me, goes on pre-order. Sorry,
okay,
it comes out next week. Pardon me. That is $60 US, and then the sleeves for the 2 war bands that come in it will also be on sale. They're actually making a specific size sleeve, proprietary, whatever you want to call it, for $8. And the Ruin Storm Horus Heresy novel hardback also comes out on the 21st. So these will all be out on the 21st, pre-order on the 14th. And then, of course, we know Tyranids will be out on the 4th for their book. Ginormous, what may be the Overlord flyer from Forge World. There is a Primaris flyer. It was in the fluff. We may actually be seeing it. It has red scorpion markings, which a lot of people are speculating that it is, in fact, from the Fires of Crixus book, Imperial Armor, the next in line Imperial Armor book, which was scorpions. They also had Tau and Mechanicum, and it looked like the Mechanicum were fighting in current era. So it looks like there might be rules for using a lot of the 30K Mechanicum rules in the current edition of 8th edition 40K. So that might be a really interesting book to check it out. But again, that part is all speculation. Traditionally, there is an Imperial Armor book that would come out in July and would also come out in November. That's when we got the new Horus Heresy rule set, but there probably isn't going to be Horus Heresy Black Book rule sets for a while now. So they might be supplanting it with Imperial Armor books. Hard to say, but that's the word on the street as far as releases go. It is a Kickstarter season. I imagine there is a plethora of Kickstarters both winding up. We just saw Empire of Man wind up. You can late pledge them. The Everlasting Palette, I think, ended today. Everlasting Wet Palette finished today. I think you can still pledge to them. And I think Micro Studios has a Terrain Kickstarter coming out, but I think those are the big ones right now on my radar as far as that goes. Haspil, what do you got?
The only thing I've really got is folks might remember an old game by Steve Jackson Games called Ogre, and it was essentially about a gigantic tank. We're talking about, city blocks big, tens of stories tall that moves down, and you send one guy plays the ogre, the other player plays essentially a bunch of infantry and GEVs and tanks and all kinds of stuff to stop them getting from one side of the map to blow up your command post. They have released a digital version on Steam. The last time there was a digital version of that out, I think SSI was still a company. So we're talking like early 90s, late 80s. So it's kind of cool. The interface is a little bit clunky right now. It's going for, I think, $24.99 on Steam. And it's kind of fun for the nostalgia. But with the Steam sales coming up, I would say just kind of wait for the sale, but it's definitely one to pick up. But I don't know if you just, if you want to throw down full price for it, but it is a fun game and something to look out for. If you don't want to play the board game using the solo rules, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's just talk for a second, a quick second. So Ogre, if you guys don't know, was like the very first game Steve Jackson put out in the 70s. It's like literally what put him on the map. You know, it's an important historical game in and of itself. If you haven't played it, if you're some of the newer generation, at least check it out. If you can do it digitally and that's your thing, give it a spin because it's a good game.
It spawned an entire subgenre of science fiction.
Dude, it's a very important thing to our current, hobby in general. Well, it might not be an actual hobby. It's a board game, but still. Yeah, before Car Wars.
Yeah, this was before Car Wars. This is like prior to I think it might be before GURPS.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
is nuts when I think about that.
Yep. So it's an important thing. Check it out digitally.
What is GURPS? Is that some role playing thing?
Yeah, generic universal role playing system.
That's what it is. I remember. Only reason I know what I've heard of that is from Ready Player One.
Yeah, it lets you role play essentially anything. And it was instead of trying to learn a new set of rules for, say, you wanted to play Star Frontiers, which was in the future, you now have to learn a whole new set of rules. If you want to play D&D, you got to learn a whole new set of rules. GURPS is one set of rules and then just multiple different arenas to play it in. So you could role play anything using GURPS.
I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
So we got almost nothing happening this week. but something happened last week, but Haspil wasn't here. But now Haspil gets to tell us firsthand all about Tacticon.
Tacticon was great. Our fellow veteran of the Long War, Nick, won Best Painted with his Space Wolves, which looked really good. He had them painted like a darker blue rather than the baby sky blue that normally they're painted. I played Grey Knights. Played a different list for me. I played a bunch of strike squads that deep struck in, along with interceptor squads that leapt forward and just basically bolter spam. And it was pretty effective until my third game. Third game ran into a really solid list that could put out a lot of firepower. It was kind of impervious to everything I had. So that was kind of rough. And then the main reason I wasn't here last week was I was at New York Comic-Con, which was absolutely insane. If you get the chance to go, highly recommend it. I got to meet William Shatner, which was a bucket list item of mine, which was really, really cool. And spent entirely too much money. So my $40K budget is like, let me put it this way. I can't buy Shadespire. It got to be that bad. So, Tacticon was fun. I got a tournament coming up, local friendly game store tournament. I'm going to be running Necrons this time. So we'll see how that goes.
It's pretty cool. That was it was a battalion only format. And you said that was when you saw that was battalion only, that's when you made the decision of going with your Grey Knights, like your love.
Yeah. Because I don't think
they would do well in that format.
Yeah. In another format, I don't think Grey Knights would stand a chance. They just don't have the answers, to a lot of the questions other armies are asking. But in battalion only, they can shine. And even then, I feel like the 8th edition rules kind of hamper the Grey Knights specifically, because you give you an army where the whole thing can deep strike, but then they don't give you a rule that'll bypass the, hey, 50% of your army has to be on the table. If they had a stratagem, even if it was like a 3 command point stratagem where you said, hey, I can ignore that rule and deep strike a ton of stuff in, that would really, really help the army. But it's almost like they put together that entire decks as an afterthought and didn't put a lot of effort into it. Like the last Grey Knight decks. So the trend continues.
Well, congratulations.
But at least they're playable now. In certain formats.
So Tacticon is it's an annual Denver convention.
Yep.
And it's run by the same people who run Genghis Khan, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And this time they paired up with Rocky Mountain Con, which is a charity con that was made to help the victims of that Aurora theater shooting that happened a couple years back.
Yep.
So pairing it with Rocky Mountain Con, I felt was actually pretty good because they actually had a dealer's room. They had some guests come in, some celebrity guests come in, had a lot more cosplayers, all kinds of the kind of stuff you would associate with a regular con as opposed with just a gaming con. But then you had the gaming con also. So it was a really cool format. It worked really well. I hope they do it again.
That's an awesome weekend for Mike Haspil. That you have won Tacticon before and Genghis Khan, so you're probably one of the highest level repeat winners of that 40K event now.
Yeah.
best player in Colorado.
That's what I've always said.
I would not say that.
He does a great job. I really wish I can go back out there and hang out with you guys because we used to have so much fun up there at Genghis and Tacticon and kick it up. And I have memories of kicking it at that bar and those hotels and getting twisted, rolling dice in the Mile High City.
Getting twisted and yelling about JJ Trek.
Yeah,
that's Alec Peters at like 1 a.m. and everyone in the restaurant was like, "Who are these nerds?
Who are these nerds?
Get these people away from me." Yeah. What was the other Feast of Blades? I flew out there one year.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a really good event.
I feel like they bore the brunt of 6th edition. Yeah. Like, when 6th hit, we lost I don't think I'm exaggerating if I said we lost 50% of the 40K players in Colorado. The 40K scene just about died, and it still has not recovered.
And they went to War Machine, and they even were running War Machine and I remember seeing a lot of the top guys who were like last year's 40K tournament were all playing the War Machine tournament. So they took it hard, and they never recovered. And then they had to cease being a convention, which sucked. But speaking of conventions and or tournaments, Battle for Our Salvation just concluded last weekend. A lot of our friends were there, like Austin from the Long War, Battle Reports, and Kelsey and Kinder, Sean Naden, who's a good friend of mine, who's been bringing Javi back hardcore, following along on Twitch, painting up his army.
Yeah, Kurt Claus, Ganyo, Nadavati, Carlos, the winner.
The winner.
Chaos was Chaos was running rampant, doing their things. Matter of fact, there was like 5 events over the last 2 weeks, and if I'm not mistaken, Chaos pretty much won them all.
And what's cool about these Chaos lists, and we'll talk about why Chaos won Battle for Salvation, and then we'll go into our commercial break, and then we'll come back and talk about why that's it. They're not going to win anymore. And the reason is that Chaos is strong. They have a codex. They have stratagems. They have combos. They have cheap infantry units that they can use to take objectives and bubble wrap and do all sorts of things with. They have powerful stratagems and powerful units. They have a great combination of units that have great roles. And on paper, a lot of these armies have a kind of an eclectic unit, mix of units. Like 2 units of Berserk, like Nick Dalvati had like 2 units of Berserkers, Mortarion, Ahriman, some Cultists, some Brimstone Horrors, Warp Talents. I mean, it's just like everything kind of has a purpose, you know, in his list. Like this is for this is for that. And so I watched the final game between Navati and Carlos, and it was Chaos v Chaos, Mortarion versus Magnus. And Navati wins a lot of tournaments. So he's a big deal. Carlos is a big deal. And so what was interesting was Carlos was running Magnus, Typhus, and Zombies. Very right. And Navati had pulled Magnus from his list and is running Mortarion, but he was also running Ahriman. So he had literally, it's like Ahriman was back in, you know, Mortarion, and Typhus was back in Magnus in this clash. And there was reasons for that. And the reason why Mortarion was in his list instead of Magnus was because he couldn't beat Ganyo, couldn't beat the Astra Militarum conscript screens. Magnus can't do that, but Mortarion can. And so, but he needed access to warp time, death hex. He needed a solid dude who can deny multiple times with some kind of bonus. So that's why he brought Ahriman in. Ahriman floating around doing his thug life. And Marmon's actually kind of a beatstick. If you put Ahriman right behind Magnus, he can heroically, or Mortarion, and then you get assaulted, he can heroically intervene. And Ahriman has the black stat. He hits on 2s and is a 3 damage weapon. So that's his little hidden buff. But he, at the end of the day, the reasons he took Mortarion weren't like it wasn't founded because there wasn't as much Astra Militarum presence because of the Forge World restriction. This is Index Astra Militarum, 0 to 3 Forge Worlds. So the current Index format pretty much has everyone running half a dozen Forge World Earthshaker platforms. And in Ganyo's case, you know, half a dozen Elysian Forge World drop units, right? I believe Juice is those are Forge World, right? 1 extra point.
No, the Elysian, you can those was in the Index.
Oh, was somebody just using Forge World models to represent them? That's what it was.
Correct. Yeah, and then now they had some people like using now there's the Elysian Robbie B. What is that small Forge World tank that explodes itself?
The Cyclops isn't Elysian.
The Cyclops now. Yeah, and then now you can make them Elysian, and now they get to drop in.
That seems good. So, but Astra was there, but it wasn't there in the same way. And the reason he brought Mortarion was because Mortarion can take out 30 conscripts with his stacks. And we're going to talk about combos today, so I'll tell you this combo. Like the Mortarion, when he goes to his Death Cleaver attack, his Whirlwind attack, it states that he gets 3 attacks for every 1 attack. And it's like 18 attacks. And the Death to the False Emperor says versus Imperiums, every time you roll a 6 to hit, you generate another attack. So every time you roll a 6, you generate another 3 attacks based on this wording. And then you can play the Veterans of the Long War, which means it's not a 5 or 6. And at the end of the day, when you roll 18 dice and every 5 or 6 generates 3 more, you hit on 2s or rerolls, you end up killing 30 conscripts. So he didn't have that opportunity. And in a one-on-one fight, Mortarion does not beat Magnus because Weaver of Fate's 3-up invulnerable, rerolling 1s. And the fact that he is +2 to cast and +2 to deny means he's probably going to get his powers off, and you're probably not, because he has 1 over on you. So when you deny the witch, you have to beat the roll. So if you have a +1 to deny, it's a roll off. If you have a +2 to deny, it's in your favor. So in that situation, they had this amazing back and forth battle. It was a pitch fight, but they were using bubble wrap, screens, aerial deny tactics. They were stopping all stuff and all sorts of stuff. They were killing each other crazy. And then the battle culminated in this final just showdown between Mortarion and Magnus. All the combos, some seriously clutch denials were going off. Things were happening. But at the end of the day, Magnus is 3-up invulnerable, rerolling 1s. He was able to back out of the combat. Carlos was able to finish off Mortarion. It was like turn 4. And now that Mortarion was down, Magnus and the Fire Raptor were still alive. Even though there was very few troops on both sides, that was it. Game over. He had 2 turns to mop up every unit in Navadi's army. And it was very climatic.
So the cool thing, what I like about Chaos v Chaos is you're not gonna get a game where it's I stay on my side of the table and I'm gonna shoot you and you're gonna shoot me. The combos that they have are unreal. Warp Time does wonders for changing the face of the battle. This had all the makings to be a really good show, and it definitely was.
Absolutely. And so let's take a commercial break, guys, and then let's talk about these combos. Elric'sHobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elric's Hobbies. Elric'sHobbies.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com. And we're back. Astra Militarum combos you need to know. Rob, let's hear about them. Titanic, Talarn, and stratagems. What you got?
Well, you know how I love my apocalyptic vehicles. So I had been playtesting the crap out of Guard, or just having fun with Guard when it first came out in June, playing some of the units from the Imperial Armor book, past, doing the funsy stuff, and then they changed everything and I got disenfranchised. I've talked about it, but those are behind us. Now we're in the good times. So been theory crafting a lot of Imperial Guard lists with Liebman Russes, and one of the things that I've been thinking about is taking the new regimental rules for Tal Arms and actually fielding those. But one of the cool things is the doctrine, and as it applies to Titanic vehicles, it allows them to move in advance and fire their weapons, all heavy weapons, as if they are neg 1 to hit, as if they're assault weapons. So you can move and fire, you can move in advance. So you can probably get 17 inches downrange with your Shadow Sword, for instance, which I played the heck out of, mostly because it's the only super heavy I have, but it's super fun, and still shoot at -1. Now that does put you at a 5-up to hit because they're base 4.
But do they have can they just move and shoot with no negatives?
They can just move and shoot with no negatives because they are Talarm. That's their...
So regardless of any combo right out the gate, you're saying that in your experience, with the Shadow Sword specifically, your complete and utter lack of mobility always kind of made you sad.
Well,
with that unit.
It didn't exactly make me sad. It's still the Shadow Sword, don't get me wrong. The Volcano Cannon is still an incredibly effective weapon. Having 3 twin-linked heavy bolters and 2 las cannons is an incredibly effective output of damage. And now the average number of shots that you get on the Volcano Cannon is 6 because it's 3d3, whereas the average used to be around 3 because it was just d6 and you had to burn some rerolls. So that was a little feel badsies. But the key to these super heavies, and of course I lost the page, is their adamantite tracks. Not only are they good at shooting, but they're not ridiculously, but they're even better in assault. Like you wouldn't expect, I mean, you would expect because these are ginormous tanks, that they would do something in assault. But here it is. So your adamantium tracks is a melee weapon. It's the strength of user, which is 9. It's -2 AP, D3 damage. But if you're at full strength, up to 14 or higher wounds, you're getting 9 attacks with this thing. And there's a stratagem now that allows you to hit on 2-ups. So you're hitting on 2-ups, 9 attacks at -2 D3 damage.
Seems good. That's like,
so, dude, why would you not want to?
That's like 9 Earthshaker hits, like automatically.
I'll never forget the damn time I'm playing against one of these things, and I'm like, okay, all I got to do is get in combat. And I charge multiple units, and I should have asked what the weapon profile, because I'm not registering tanks. Next thing I know, my fucking Trigon is splat to this guy's attacks. Now, granted, with the 9 attacks, without that stratagem hitting on 2s, I think you hit on 5s. Is that right, Robbie B?
Yeah, it was 5s. So
yeah, but it doesn't. But it doesn't matter because you got 9 through.
He got 3 through, 3 wounds, and 3d3 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what in the shit? Now you're saying 9 attacks hit on 2s, like that's like, yeah. I mean, it's unreal.
It's so good. So I'm like, hey, Self, what, you have this ginormous tank that's both good at shooting and good at assaulting. What do you want to do with it? Well, Self, I want to do all of it. I'm a 40K fat kid and I have a big tank. Let's do this. So I looked at all the doctrines and I was like, this is the one for me. Here's how I do it. So I'm going to move my 10 inches with my big fatty tank. I'm going to advance my 2d6 or my d6. I'm probably going to get 4. But I think there was some other thing, and I got to check this. I might be misquoting. But so I'm going to advance. So I'm going to get, around, say 4 inches. So 14 inches, whatever. So I'm going to get my advance in. Then I'm going to be able to shoot. I'm shooting on 5s because I'm -1. We'll talk about that in a second. Then fast forward to the next turn, I'm moving my 10 again. I'm shooting again. And now I'm going to assault because I'd be stupid to shoot what's in front of me. But that's the beauty of these big things or anything now. You can call your shots. You shoot a different way. You assault in. So your effective range is 24 right off the bat. And then you still get a 2d6 assault. That's where my 2d6 was coming in. So my 2d6 is my assault. That's an average of 7. So you're up. You're clearing the board. Even if you're hammer and anvil, you're still getting across the table. And don't forget, you're a freaking Titanic tank. Yes, if their army shoots at you, you might die. But that's just 8th edition. Welcome. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of dope Forge World units out there that we haven't even scratched the surface on the combos that you can do. We're just strictly talking for the most part tonight, probably about Codex. But I want to just mention one little thing. There's a small tank, that's called the Salamander Command Vehicle. And what that thing can do is during any shooting phase, a single friendly, that's advanced. So I can't do it if I advance. But during the shooting phase, you can throw out.
The thing is, you don't have to advance, Rob. Like you said, you just move every turn and shoot at full ballistic skill, and now you've already gone 20 inches on turn 2.
That's respectable.
You know what I'm saying? And now, so you move 10, you shoot full ballistic skill, which has never been available to you before. You move 10, you shoot a full ballistic skill, and then you assault 2d6. You're probably going to be in their lines, or if they're aggressive, like I would play against you, now you can move out of the corner, shoot and assault, and you have a rule that lets you shoot models within an inch of you. Even so, if I lock you in this combat thinking I'm safe, you're like, stratagem, hit on 2s, crush a bunch of dudes. Now it's because pile in. Oh, now it's my turn. I get to shoot models within an inch of me, so I'm shooting into the combat. Combat again, pile in, hit on, play the stratagem, hit on twos. Like you literally can bang a combat down with this dude.
Literally, you literally grind him to dust.
Yeah, I would definitely say with to learn is having the ability to just move your tanks and not take the -1 to hit.
A lot of maneuverability. Lots of
maneuverability. And that bridges all the gaps for all vehicles. That's all vehicles, not just Titanics, not just Lehman Russes.
Correct.
But
and what is everybody's, Robbie B, what's everybody's favorite rule right now for Lehman Russes, is when you move half distance, so instead of, dude, there's a lot of powerful stuff coming out with that.
Yeah, something we should probably mention is that if you're not Talarm, that when you move, you can shoot the top turret at full ballistic seal, but your side turrets are still heavy weapons. You're still going to be -1. So some folks might forget that. But again, if you're taking this doctrine, or if you're regiment.
If you're regiment Talarn Deserator, you have some of the most maneuverable tanks in the game. Ridiculous. And there's stratagems that do this advanced shenanigans that don't affect grinding advance for the Lehman Russ or Behemoth or whatever it is.
What do you mean?
There's a stratagem that lets you like move then shoot, or shoot then move, and it doesn't affect the total distance of the double shooting Lehman Russ turret.
I want to say that is not a stratagem.
No, absolutely. This is the Talarn.
The Talarn specific, yes, but that I believe that.
That's a tank order. That's a tank order.
It doesn't affect.
Yeah, there's specific tank order, which is unreal. So to play this out is you can move your 5 inches in the movement phase, or less than, so you can shoot your turret weapon twice. Then in the shooting phase, you issue an order. You double shoot. And then you get to advance. I mean, it is unreal.
But you can do it in the other order. You can do it.
Right.
Correct. You can do it. Yeah. You basically get battle focus. You can do it before you shoot or after you shoot. And it specifically says there that this doesn't this movement does not affect your total inches moved for the grinding advance. For the lumbering behemoth. Is that the rule? Where you can, if you move less than 5 inches or move less than half inches, you get it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great events. No, it's great. It's a super good order. I wish it worked for Shadow Swords, but
we didn't get to talk about Talarns last week because we couldn't see the regimental doctrine. We just saw the one stratagem.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, this stratagem is still amazing, and it is the
the ambush.
Ambush stratagem, 3 command points, 3 units that can ambush that, and they can be any unit pretty much with the regimental doctrine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Any unit.
Any unit
no caveat to say.
I mean, you couldn't do it with a shadow sword because you wouldn't be able to fit, but you can do it because you have to be wholly within 7 inches or something like that of the board edge.
Correct. Wholly within 7 and then more than 9 inches away. So one thing, we're still talking about combos, and Robbie B had to look this up for us. There is no limit on stratagems being used before the game.
Yep.
So if I have X amount of command points, I could literally, we talk about putting 3 Talarn vehicles, Lehman Russes, in ambush.
Well, you could put like 9. You can put you can do as many command points.
As on command
you can do infinity, but it's pretty. If you wanted, you can get 9 Lehman Russes in ambush pretty easily. Throw 9 units down and then 9 in reserve. And most armies, that I build will have at least 9 command points, 8 to 10 command points. So that is massive when you're saying you can pop on a board edge with, multi-melta side sponsons that are short range, punishers that are short range, things like this. Let them be a commander so they can issue reroll 1s to themselves, hit on 3s, reroll 1s with
a massive change. That
43 shots from one vehicle, like from a Punisher. That is unreal. Unheard of.
One of the reasons people weren't happy about PASC in the index was that it specifically said you couldn't issue orders to characters, and he himself is a character. So tank commanders could not ever benefit from their own orders. period, or anyone else's orders. But now they can. They remove that sentence in the codex. So Supreme Command detachments are going to be kind of huge.
Stronger than ever.
And, we even pointed it up, like your average command tank is around 250 points. So you take minimum of 3 of those, but you could go up to 5, and that's, 1,100 points. And then you just take a super heavy, and that's only 5.
Yeah, that's 250 on a high end though.
Yeah.
If you're talking, one of my favorite Lehman Russ variants right now, that's the Commander, is a Lehman Russ with a Punisher, Gatling gun, and just the single heavy bolter, no side sponsons. Those are dead to me. And that tank runs in at 198 points for the Commander, if I'm not mistaken, just under 200 points, Kenny. And I get ambushing, toughness 8,
40
vehicle.
shots because you get to shoot twice.
That shoots 43 shots at strength 5 because I get the 3 heavy bolter shots, and that are hitting on 3s, reroll 1s in your backfield.
Strong. So that's definitely.
I mean, that's almost some of the best math that I've seen. That puts a Vulture to shame. That puts Taurox Primes to shame. Mortar teams, anything that we had in the arsenal of Astra Militarum puts it to shame on being able to mow down infantry.
It's clutch. So there's some amazing Talaran combos, and there's. The cool thing is that there's infinite flavor. Like Carlos said at Battle for Salvation, they asked him what his MVP, what his MVP unit of his army was, and he said it's literally whoever I choose to put the right combination of stratagems on every game. It's like, so it always changes. So that's how I'm seeing Talaran right now. But let's move on, Juice, because Juice has got some insight on the Cadian orders going infinite. So what you got there?
Wow. Yeah, brother. Man, I will say, so the Talaran, they've got some pretty cool tech, but you're going to have to dive deep. You're going to have to be maybe a little more experienced. You're going to have this raw sheer power. I just can't see. My first thought was that it was going to be the Catachan Jungle Fighters. Absolutely not. I was wrong. It is Cadian all day, every day, and I'm going to explain why. With these combos, I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to let you know Cadian units. I'm just going to tell you my 27 mortar teams, or 27 mortars that I'm going to take to most tournaments. They are all going to very easily hit on 3s and reroll 1s. Like, just to put in perspective, they hit on 4s and reroll 1s before. Now we're saying it is pretty easily that I can hit on 3s and reroll 1s. Depending on what I'm shooting at, if it's chaos, I might reroll everything to include 1s. But let me break it down on how I'm getting it there. Cadian regimental doctrines just say if I do not move for being a Cadian model, I get to reroll 1s in the shooting phase. If I'm an infantry model and I am issued the order take aim, I get to reroll everything to hit wise. So that is huge when you're talking, you've got Creed and 2 company commanders. That's 7 orders within itself. Well, let's make sure that we don't forget about warlord traits. If you're the Cadian warlord, superior tactical training, when your warlord issues an order. So now Creed, as my warlord, can issue 3 orders. So on the roll of a 4-up, a Cadian unit of the same type of the original target, infantry or Lehman Russ, within 6 inches of the warlord, get the same order. So wait a second. So now Creed casts 3 orders, but in all reality, he's going to get 4.5 orders a turn. Now, I'm big when I do my math. I do allow for fractions because I say 4.5. What's going to probably happen most of the time? 1 turn, he's going to issue an extra 2 orders. Or an extra 2 mortar teams are going to get the same order for free. The next turn, it'll be 1. Then the next turn will be 2, either this. So all my mortars with just Creed and 2 company commanders, every one of my mortar teams are going to be re-rolling to hit. I mean, that's unreal in itself. Force multiplier, that is. Now, we're going to dive in just a little bit deeper. Let's say you've got a fatty unit, aka 30 conscripts that I'm kind of worried about blowing through. I'm even going to take it further. Let's say mortars have a problem killing Space Marines touching 2-up touching a piece of terrain. So now they have a 2-up save. That's actually a problem when you're just making people cause mass number of wounds. So now you're telling me I need a bigger force multiplier to get all the dice that I can to make them roll 1s or 1s and 2s, depending on what save they have. Overlapping fields of fire, one of my favorite ones that we spoke about last week. Use a stratagem for Acadian units. For any unit that has an unsaved wound of an enemy in the shooting phase, any other Acadian units that shoot that same target get +1 to hit. A free marker light for 2 command points. That is unreal. So now my mortars, when I want to mass down and really do some firepower, I get hit on 3s, reroll 1s. I am just beside myself with these combos.
So right out the gate, you've recreated the multiplier that you get from Catachan. That just basically for free, you've said.
Just for free, just for being Acadian, every model not within 6 inches of Harker, every model that doesn't move gets to reroll to shoot or reroll to hit of 1s.
So you've basically just recreated your Harker combo, and now you've found a way to go further.
Absolutely, further by re-rolling everything and potentially getting the +1 to hit. So let's say, what's the number one army out there right now? Rhetorical question. Shy of Astra Militarum. Chaos, right? So what happens when a Chaos player walks up to the table and he looks at the opponent's list that says, "Oh, you're Astra Militarum and you're playing Cadians"? Not good for the Chaos player from Jump Street, and this is why. We have a couple things. There is the Relic of Lost Cadia. Ready for this one? The Cadian model only. The bearer can unveil the relic in any turn. The unit at the end of the turn can re-roll all fail to hit and wound rolls of 1 within 12 inches of the bearer. That's pretty good. That's just a base. I get to a 12-inch bubble, re-roll into hit. Let's say I move. I'm doing a bunch of conscripts and everybody's moving or something. I get it. That's real cool. Now, you can re-roll all fail to hit and wound rolls if all units within 12 inches are shooting at Chaos models. I have a Gilliman for a turn as a relic.
Yeah. So when you make that big push, after, let's say Chaos goes first, they start trying to collapse on you, and now you get your big turn to retaliate. You essentially get to reroll literally everything.
Reroll everything.
And probably hit on 3s.
Absolutely. So that is a turn 12-inch bubble, which is huge. We all know that. 12 inches in all area. You can fit a lot of models in there, and that's a one-time, one-hit wonder. I love that, right? But it's not done. Vengeance for Cadia. This is a 1 command point stratagem. Astra Militarum units shooting or overwatching reroll fail to hit and wound rolls of a unit shooting at Chaos. So now whatever strong unit I have, my Earthshakers, if I'm or a Earthshaker, a mortar team, if I'm running a vet squad with all melta guns, if I'm running, it's very easy to incorporate a mass unit with a lot of offense.
Well, yeah, you build a unit into your army list that can benefit from a stratagem. That's a pretty solid tactic in itself.
And every turn when I am playing Chaos, I keep 1 command point aside to say they reroll to hit and to wound no matter where they are on the table every time shooting at them.
Yeah, that's strong.
That is unreal.
It's a great tactic. I mean, I do that with my Chaos specifically. I have obliterators in my army just to use a stratagem in those cacophony. That's literally built into my list. So you essentially you're going to build a unit into your list that best takes advantage of this because you're going to have to beat Chaos to win a tournament.
Yep, 100%. You're going to have to do it probably 2 or 3 times. Kenny, the last point that I want to talk about for all the Cadian players out there, Creed obviously is an auto take. You don't even question. All lists are built at a 70-point negative just because. Creed gives you 2 command points just for being Creed. So to put that in perspective, if I take a Supreme Commander or the Heavy Support Detachment, the Spearhead, excuse me, anything like that, that gives me 1 command point. Putting Creed into it now, in my mind, it's the same as a battalion.
Yeah, so battalions are dead to you.
Battalion is dead to me. I don't have to take the 3 troop choice conscript tax, because that's what it is to me now. I don't care about conscripts. I am loving that Creed does this because command points are at a premium. Remember, Kenny, you laughed because I was like, dude, why are people so hyped about command points?
Yeah, you were like, I literally had like 3 left at the end of the game every
3
game.
left at the end of the game, and I was re-rolling everything.
You don't have a codex yet. That's why.
Yeah, and now I see. So one of the most valuable pieces of relic heirlooms that exist is the Aquila. The Corvus Aquila. Each time your opponent uses a stratagem, roll a d6. On the roll of a 5, you gain a command point. So if you guys haven't already, head on over to longwar.net. Check out the latest battle report. You get to see this Corvus Aquila in action. Don't want to spoil how many times it was mind blowing to me.
Because people don't realize, like, it's every time, bro. Like, so if somebody has 7 command points, and let's say they use
2.3% of the time, 2.3 command points you're going to get from them.
If that means you get to do 2 or 1 extra thing, and there's other combos, but that it command points are premium. I find myself on turn 2 almost every game I'm in a situation where it's like, do I use this? Because if I use this, I can't use Tied Traders.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
now there's a variable for you to get some back. Just imagine even if it was a 6, Kenny, it's worth it, right?
Oh my God, I would take it all day. I'd be like, because there's a chance I could build that into my tactics. I could say, yeah, I am going to throw this reroll because I know I'm going to roll a 6 at some point later in the game and get it back.
Yeah, it's turn 5. I haven't had command points for 2 turns, and I've rolled 7 dice, and he's used his last one. And on his last command point or his last stratagem, that's when I stick the 6, get 1 back, and now that tips something in my favor. Just imagine if it was a 5 or 6, and you're getting it from Jump Street. So I won't build a list now for less than 10 command points. Every list that I build now has Creed and 8 command points. And I am perfectly okay with that because I know throughout the course of every game that I play, I will roll 2 5 or 6s to get me to my 10 that I want.
You found a way to be super efficient with your list.
Yeah, and we haven't even, Kenny, it's so strange to me that I'm playing 40K. This is beats level times 10. Normally, we're like trying to add special rules together and universal special rules and units and hit and runs here to this. We're not even there yet. You actually figure out, you pair your regimental doctrines, your this, your that, with your play style way before I even put units and points to units
and
to fill it.
That is the rule set we have been craving.
Oh my goodness, this is unreal. Like I said it earlier, but I sat down. I didn't even care not 1 point about my list. I already knew about what it was going to be. I literally, with a piece of paper, sat down and I figured out my combos and figured out what I was going to do with my doctrines, who was my regimental doctrines going to be, who was going to, or what warlord trait, what is this combo, what are these stratagems. I had I spent hours trying to figure out all that. And then I was like, oh, that's right. Now I have to start figuring out my points. And, it is definitely a lot more involved than it has ever been. The Beats Lab definitely got promoted from the shitter to an actual desk / corner of a table.
Rob, Rob, do you remember when we were talking about how GW is finally gonna be real little boys now?
Yes.
And then GW said, this is the game you guys wanted. And we were like, come on, man, you haven't done that yet. Well, they're kind of doing it, and they're showing us right now that they are real little boys. I mean, this is like what HeroClix has been doing for years. Like this type of game, when you have a click game that uses 2 dice and it has combos built into like the superpowers, they start introducing battlefield rolls, cards to play on your army and introducing and it was a miniature game. And then obviously Malifaux was doing it, like bringing cards into the game, or, you know, like, or War Machine, like literally they found a way to make it their own, to take, because the one thing GW does better than anyone else, I think Jason Gray said, is the lore. Unquestionably the sickest look, the sickest lore, the books, everything. So they found a way to make it feel that way. And to Juice's point, you have a play style. Like I have a play style, and I know what my play style is. I don't pick units based on the most effective math. I pick units based on my play style. And now with these stratagems, and these command points, these codex rules, and these free relics, I can make my play style actually work. And that is the most fun I've had in 40K in a long time.
And that's why I was so upset at the start, because everything I started with changed like within that first month. And I was like, man, I was having fun, and now I'm not. And I just like literally put it on the shelf, and I was like, meh. But now the new books got me so excited with all these combos, and looking at, you know, digging through the Forge World book to see all the Forge World tech. But this is probably the best written codex we've seen in a very long time.
And it's powerful in a clever way. It's not just, it's not Tau rerolls everything. We're the best. Like how in 6th edition, when Tau dropped, you're like, okay, got it. Of course you're the best. You literally reroll everything and ignore every fucking rule in the game.
Yeah,
so,
there's hidden stuff in there we haven't even talked about. Yeah. Some of the stratagems affecting other, that could affect other Imperium units. You even have upgrades for the Lehman Russ tanks that most people just completely glanced over. You have track guards in here and stuff. You know, like you got to dig deep in this book.
Well, the more rules, the better. That was the problem. The problem with Grey Knights for Mike Haspil was there was nothing in the book.
Yeah, that's, I mean, 2 points. Couldn't agree more. I love the fact that the book cannot just be consumed in a week and then you pick up a new book to try to get more other information. This book has got so much. There is power level and strength at first glance, at second glance. There's gems that you'll find in week 6, of staring at it long enough. This is probably, again, this might be a knee-jerk reaction, but if we're looking at codexes that will go down in the GW Hall of Fame, this is a very strong early candidate for this. I mean, it's unreal. I get the sense, because of the mental work that you kind of got to put in. If you just want to play guard, please just pick it up. Put some lists together, say, hey, I'm playing Catachin or I'm playing Vestroyan. And then you just look at your weapon profiles, you do your thing. This book will give you all the skill level if you want to dive in and say, I am taking a detachment of Talarn, and I'm taking a detachment of Vestroyan, or I am going to build 4 combos with these 6 tanks, and I'm going to do this and this, and then I'm going to have incorporate it. It truly feels like WarCon of 7th edition. At first, you talk about it, us talking about this right now seems, guard is easy. I'll just pick it up and destroy people. I'll just pick up WarCon, and because they have 500 points of free shit, and I was even one of the guys who said that, it's free stuff, it's easy to do. Well, it's not the same as Eldar, quote unquote, free stuff, or 7 free Razorbacks. It's free war gear that you have to put mental capacity to. Knowing, as like you do, Kenny, you've got it down to a science on when you're going to use your stratagems at what point. When to lay down this warp time and bring this unit up versus, when does Robbie B utilize his moving and advancing? The game is definitely a little more intense.
Are you saying you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? I'm pretty sure. I think Confucius said that. And yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Confucius was a gambler.
Damn.
He was.
I was like, what's the next one I can say? Sometimes you got to roll a hard 6. Is that a sci-fi quote?
That is Battlestar Galactica, yeah.
What does that even mean? Like, what is that even? I don't know. But we have one more combo before we get out of here. Juice, summarize real quick this statement. Catachins are deadlier in close combat. Tiny dog alert.
Here it is. The tiny dog knows how strong Catachin can be. So If I've looked at multiple times, bringing Harker, 60 conscripts, that's 2 units of 30, and a Millistorm Priest. There's the combo. Millistorm Priest give you +1 attack to all units within 6 inches. Catachin says I get infantry models get +1 strength. Harker says I reroll ones. A infantry model or a Catachin conscript in combat will do more damage than shooting, because shooting at a Space Marine, for example, because you hit on 5s, you wound on 5s, and 9 times out of 10, a 5-man unit is going to be toe-touching terrain. And so they're going to be getting a 2-up save. Haspil will tell you how many times he did that probably throughout the weekend. It's so easy to get a 5-man squad of Space Marines a 2-up save right now. So I found myself trying to dig these Space Marines out with my 30, 40, 50. I'd charge in 50, 60 strong, hitting on 5s, rolling on 5s. And just to do all that with 1 attack each, just so they would have to make a 3-up save instead of a 2. Now you're telling me my conscripts are hitting on 5s, wounding on 4s, re-rolling 1s, and they have a 3-up save? I mean,
well, they also
100 times better.
A bonus attack as well.
And a bonus attack. They do the same amount of attacks as rapid firing their las gun without an order.
And more strength. So it's more attacks, more strength.
Far better. Now, again, is it anything game-changing like Cadian or this and this? No, but it is definite. I was running something and had very good success with it. Now you're telling me this combo just says it's better than what I was doing before.
Yeah, we're not trying to highlight Catachin too much, because I still believe it's the strongest, because we're diving deep into every other combo besides Catachin, because to Juice's point, Catachins were already winning every tournament. And there's more than just this little Catachin conscript combo that got better.
Oh my God, there is.
There is multiple things that got better. So Catachin, in my opinion, is the easiest set of combos, because it's the most obvious sets of rerolls and multipliers. But it's very strong. You will be very successful with it. But what we've highlighted tonight is that with Talarn and Cadians, there are hidden combos built into it that take a little bit more pre-planning with your units and your strategies in order to deliver them, but they can be just as effective, if not more, if played right. Rob, do we have anything else tonight?
I think we covered it all. I mean, definitely pick up the Imperial Guard index from the Imperial Armor, and there's a lot more units in here that are more beneficial to all of these things. I mean, we just scratched the surface. We're just talking basic codex, but I mean, there's a lot more. Let's check those out. But I think for the most part, that's might be the big stuff. I'm sure we'll definitely see some benefits. We talked about the anti-chaos stuff, right? And the getting your command points back.
Yep.
So I feel like we hit all the big notes. I can't think of anything else.
Well, time for nerd things.
Unlike the cruel Leonidas who demanded that you stand, I require only that you kneel.